Welcome to this special edition of Life Changes with Filippo. I am Filippo Voltaggio and we're here in Shadow Hills, California at this beautiful sanctuary called Bush Willows. And then I am with a very special person by the name of Sheldan Nidle, who is sharing some very interesting information with us today that I can't wait to get into. So we're going to start right away. Sheldan, let's start by saying hello. Now you know how to say hello in languages that are not used on Earth right now, so give us a couple examples of saying hello in different languages.
Well, for instance, the one I'm more used to, of course, is the Syrian, which is just salamat ja, which simply means be in joy, because being fully conscious, they are totally in joy all the time, and so their greatest possible way of explaining anything to anybody when you're being greeted is, of course, to say that. And the Hercularians, which are very similar to the Syrians, they just say salamat jara, which is almost the same. But that's because they basically are a offshoot of the Syrians. They were one of the original colonies that were founded only by the Syrians, Sirius B star nation, and so their language is very similar. And so as you go through different groups, you discover that everything really goes back to the Lyran peoples and of course to the Vagans, where we all originally came from.
So you might be getting the idea that we're talking about people that are presently either not on this planet or did not originate here, and we're talking about extraterrestrials pretty much.
Right.
And other universes. And the interesting thing is here, the reason we're talking to Sheldan is because he's been contacted by other alien beings. They would be alien to us, but to them they kind of know each other.
They know each other quite well, yes.
So he's teaching us how to say hello in these different alien languages. Now, I asked Sheldan if he spoke any of them, and he says that he only spoke one. And you got it how?
I just get it, and whenever I have to do something, I get it downloaded for me by the group that basically is a Syrian group that follows my mission and takes care of me. So they give me any kind of information. Like when I do the update, it's the only time I have the whole group, the whole kind of gamut of people, because then I have this committee of 20 of them. It's kind of interesting. Until you've had 20 people talking in your head, you not really experience life, I think.
At the same time?
At the same time.
Well, I'm Italian American, and I've had 20 people talking at me at the same time, but not in my head, unfortunately. Well, the interesting thing is that talk about using our brain, or our brain being a computer. That's what Sheldan Nidle is saying right now, is that just like a computer, he had the information downloaded, and all of a sudden he could speak the language, like you could just plug it into your computer. So that's the download information is exactly what we're here to get. So let's start from the beginning. We know how to say hello.
Right.
Now that we've done all the pleasantries, you were just a happy person living a happy life, and all of a sudden something happened to you one day, and you became, not that you're not a happy person now, but I mean, you became who you are now.
Well,
what happened?
It started when I was a little kid.
Oh, really?
As a matter of fact, my sister says that, along with me, that basically in her mind, we were really raised by the Syrians. Our parents were kind of weird people. They were, let's always say, ultimate dysfunctionality. And so the result of all of that was we really got most of our teaching in life from the Syrians. And the result of all of that is I'm not too well acclimated to planet Earth.
Okay, so you don't know our ways too well, but you speak our language very well.
Yes.
Okay, so are you saying that these beings were actually present in your life as a child?
I spent most of my life up in the ships, yes. And
up in the ships?
When I was a kid, yes.
Okay, so you're walking around living a normal life, and all of a sudden you're beamed up, or they? How does that happen?
We had a routine. What it was, when I got home, or if I had an off day, I wasn't going to school, I'd just lay in my bed, and 2 minutes later I was there.
In the ship?
In the ship.
Okay. And this was not strange to you?
No.
Because you were a child, and...
It was normal. It was normal. Matter of fact, my mother and father were kind of freaked out by the whole thing, to use modern terminology. My dad did it by trying to beat me up all the time. My mother was confused. Finally, when I was about 12 years old, what happened was I was walking downstairs going to have breakfast, and she was in the kitchen at the table, and she said, "Sit down here." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "I want to know what planet you're really from."
Really? Interesting.
Because they've been fighting it, you know. I would go up and there'd be this big flash of blue light. And I was a kid, when I was young, I could do things like turn lights on and off by just laying in bed, or open or close doors. I was telepathic. I could put my mind in anybody's head. As a matter of fact, when I was about, what was it? About 13, I felt sorry for a guy who was a close friend of mine. And so what I did was I simply decided to use my talent to basically put in his brain, let's say, all the information. And so because there were two papers that were exactly almost alike, they accused me, of course, of cheating. And finally my mother said to the teacher, after they had suspended me for this, at about the third day, said, "Where was he sitting?" And they said, "He was sitting in the far back of the room." And where was this other person? In the front row on the other side of the room. So he said, how could they cheat? Did they have a signal system? And so finally, after 2 more days of this, I got put back in school.
Of course, your mother couldn't tell him the truth, because that sounds stranger than getting the information through signals. Okay, so I'm very curious about all this. This is fascinating. I'm sure you all are too. So you would be beamed up to the ship. Would your body still be, like if your mother walked into the room, would your body still be in bed?
No, that was physical.
You were physically gone?
Yeah.
Did your mother come in and not find you?
Yes, that was one of the reasons when I was younger that she knew I wasn't from here.
Because you would appear and disappear. Okay. Do you still visit the ship?
They set up a system now using special devices that are implanted around me and in my head that allow me to basically have a 3D television. So whenever I want to, or if they want to, they just come on.
In your head?
In my head. So I'm like having a television program going on, and everybody's... Colleen, my mate over here, can tell you that I'll be riding along with her, and all of a sudden I'm just laughing and all that stuff, and she's wondering what's going on.
They're showing you something, or telling you a joke.
They're talking, yeah.
Okay. Well, if that happens during the interview, we should have a signal of you letting me know, because... all right, so why you?
I asked them that question quite a few times, because when I was a kid, I was super introverted, even worse than I am now, and I totally had trouble speaking properly because I tended to stutter, because school to me was not nice. I was very smart, but the teachers wanted things in a certain way. Like the first grade, I had a Polish teacher whose entire family had been wiped out by the Germans. I had a very thick German accent, and I spoke kind of like a broken English. So her big thing was whenever I said anything in German, she would tell me to put my hand out, and she would take this big ruler and hit me over the knuckles. My mother did not like this, of course. I came back telling her all the time because I'd have these sore hands. And so I had an uncle who was a lawyer, and so the two of them went to the school board, and they made an agreement, because I was flunking something fierce, because I was just totally confused by all this, and I refused to cooperate. And my mother was wondering, because when I was in the first grade, I was already reading high school and college texts.
Wow. And do you think that came from being able to communicate?
Right, and also my mother really should have been a mathematics professor. There was an award in Buffalo called the Jesse Ketchum Award, and she won it 2 years in a row, which is a full scholarship to the University of Buffalo. And she refused because it was a depression, and so as a result, she stayed there because she was the one keeping the books.
Interesting. So, all right, so they gave you all this information, they've chosen you, you have no idea why, but they've chosen you to do what exactly with this information?
They said to spread it out, to tell people about what's going on in terms of our planet, in terms of contact, in terms of our change in consciousness, and what that all means. And so as a result of that, I said, wow, I got to do all this stuff? Well, of course, they gave me tons of information when I was a kid. I mean, I got all kinds of information in my head. I have stuff on history from this planet, history from other planets. I have all kinds of information with science, etc. So one of the things that I have done since I've been a kid was collecting information, both in libraries and...
Now, you're not the only one, obviously, that...
Oh, yes, not the only. I've met other people that have done that.
Okay. Did you tell them they won't believe me?
I said that at the beginning, and they said, if you come from your heart, they will believe. And
wow.
That's what's happened. I was amazed. I thought for sure. And it was interesting, when they started me, they didn't start me at the UFO conventions with all the people with the nuts and bolts stuff. They started me with the New Age community. And that's where I basically have been from the beginning. I've never really dealt very much with that other side, as I like to call it, the UFO community.
What are they asking you to say?
Basically three things. One, first